What's up, guys? The Casual King MMA, and today we're going to look at what might be the end of the era of the double champ. I thought it only fitting to start off with the man that created the moniker, Conor McGregor, Eddie Alvarez, New York, KO. The peak of Conor, arguably the peak of the sport. It's a high that we have yet to see. And this moment was really special. And of course, when you have a moment this special, there's going to want to be a lot of copycats. And while only three other people have been successful in achieving the simultaneous double champ status, that doesn't mean others haven't tried. Volkanovski, as a very big example, took on Islam, short notice. First fight was amazing. If you want, you can argue Volk won, but that's not really the point. Being able to move up a weight class against a guy like Islam and perform like that is spectacular. But that kind of defeats the point. Look at these three fighters on the right of Conor McGregor. None of them are stars. DC, commentary. Amanda Nunes, who cares? The UFC keep trying to promote her. Nobody really cares. She has manpower. It's not fair. Girls just curl up. Little side take. Irene Aldana is one of my favorite female fighters. She puts on absolute wars. Had actually a fight of the year contender in my opinion. Last 2 years, back to back. And then she fights Amanda Nunes and she fights scared. It's not fair. We don't want to see it. Henry Cejudo, who cares? These guys aren't stars. And that's kind of what you see with the double champ moniker and my issue with it. Conor McGregor didn't necessarily popularize the double champ status. He popularized himself. He said, I was going to win 2 belts, and he did that. What made it big wasn't the 2 belts. What made it big was he delivered on what he said he was going to do. That's what makes it so special. And these other guys can't do that. I mean, DC, without Jon Jones, is top 4, I'd argue, greatest fighter of all time. I still think he's top 10. But him achieving the double champ status isn't what made it impressive. Moving up to heavyweight, winning the belt, that was impressive. But it didn't matter that he had the belt at light heavyweight at the same time. The concurrent doubles champ status is not worth it for the UFC. And that's what brings us to Islam and Ilya. Both of them, the two best fighters in the UFC right now, in my opinion. Both of them wanted to move up, wanted to achieve double champ status. And the UFC said, you can move up, but you have to lose your old belt. Why is that? Let's go back to Conor McGregor. Conor boxing. Biggest fight ever. Conor against Floyd Mayweather. Biggest fight in my lifetime. But what made it? It was good for the UFC at the moment. Conor was great. It was perfect time, perfect place. He made the UFC into a bigger sensation than it ever could have been without him. He delivered it to the next height. He's the reason it's a $1 billion company now. But the UFC don't want Conor McGregor's anymore. They don't want Kamaru Usman boxing Canelo Alvarez because it doesn't benefit them. They already got the shine of going with boxing. They already made their money because it was a joint promotion. The UFC don't want their fighters boxing. They want their fighters defending their belts. The UFC's model is based on pay-per-views. And the pay-per-view model is based on title defenses. That is the model. The model is there's a belt on the top of the card. There's some good fights below that. The idea is casual fans will buy the pay-per-view for the big star like Jon Jones on the undercard, and they'll see a great fight. Best example the UFC did this, Conor Khabib. What was the co-main event? Tony Ferguson, Anthony Pettis. Same weight class, top contenders. It would have set up the fight if all the drama didn't happen. Don't even want to get to Tony Conor. I still haven't recovered. Tony Khabib. I still haven't recovered from that. But why would the UFC, if Ilya and Islam fight each other, one of them loses their star power. Not only this, one of them loses their belt. And it's one fight. Why would the UFC do this when Islam can move up to fight JDM at 170, pay-per-view headliner? Islam moving up at 155 to fight Oliveira for the belt, pay-per-view headliner. Boom, you got 2 pay-per-views. The champ, there's not going to be a division waiting. When Conor moved from 145 to 155, he killed the 145 division for a long time. It took a long time for that division to rebuild. Not only because the champ wasn't defending it, but because people didn't legitimately recognize the new champ because Conor didn't lose. This is a nice example here because Islam moving up and Ilya's moving up. It works out the timing wise. But the UFC don't want these guys doing this. They want them staying in their divisions or they want them moving up permanently. This up and down stuff only complicates both divisions and makes matchmaking harder. The UFC's we could see some changes. The pay-per-view model could be going out with a Netflix deal, but even in that case, you want these big headliners. You want more big fights. It's better to have two amazing fights than one spectacular fight. Next week, we got Macy Barber in the main event against Erin Blanchfield. I like both of them, but they're suffering because they're the main event. If they were the co-main event with a good main event, the card would be better, and those girls would get more shine because people wouldn't be disappointed in the main event. Spread more better cards. Spread out the talent more. And have these champs defend their belts and stop moving around. It's not worth it for the UFC financially. They don't want the next Conor McGregor. The UFC brand is bigger than the fighters, and they want to keep it that way. You see countless examples. They're trying to repeal the Ali Act. They're not paying the fighters necessarily what they're worth. They get I think they get less than 10% profits. But 10% of the UFC profits go to the fighters. But in the end, I don't care. I want good fights. I want a lot of good fights. And the way to do that is to remove the concurrent double champ status and make these guys vacate or fight. Thanks for the time, guys. That's my rant. Peace.